how's it going and welcome back. Well, here's the story. Are PCs really cheaper than Macs? Well, I'm going to say no, they're not. Okay? I found what I believe in my searching has been the most expensive Windows laptop. Gamer class stuff. This is the custom Acer Predator Helios 300 with an Intel 7 12700H, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, 8 terabytes PCIe SSD, Windows 11 Pro. It has a NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 with 6 gigs of dedicated graphics, VR ready, Wi-Fi 6E, and of course Bluetooth 5.2, Ethernet, a lousy 720p webcam. I mean, what is with PCs? If I'm paying $8,000, by goodness, I want 1080p and good at that. Okay, well, the list does go on. It does have Thunderbolt and HDMI and a few other things, but it's also a 15.6 inch 1920 by 1080 IPS display at 165 hertz and a 280 watt power supply. Okay, now that's pretty crazy stuff. When you get more into it, it's a 12th gen, like we said. It has 14 cores, 20 threads. 6 only are performance cores, the rest are efficiency. That's not looking too good for the home team. I got a feeling my Mac Mini could still beat this thing out. I have an M1. So I got to thinking, well, what do we get out of Apple in a similar size? The only way we can do it is round it off to a 16 inch, which I might add is a 4K XDR Liquid Retina ProMotion display with Thunderbolt 4 ports, HDMI, SDXC card slot, headphone jack, MagSafe 3 port, only requiring 140 watt power supply. Whew, that's a big jump, isn't it? Okay, 12 core CPU, 38 core GPU, 16 core neural engine. Wait a minute, they don't have neural engines on Windows computers? What's with them? Anyway, so I thought, well, let's max this puppy out as high as we can get it. So 96 gigs of RAM and an 8 terabyte. Let's be fair, 8 terabyte. That would get us to 8249 to, well, 8323. But if we kept the RAM the same, because remember, we got to try and be fair and match things as best as we can. So both machines being at 32 gig, both having 8 terabytes of storage. Okay, and that 8 terabyte of storage is likely going to be pretty bloody snappy in the Mac compared to the PC, but we don't have any way of testing this. Okay, I'm certainly not going to go out and spend $20,000 on 2 computers just to find out. However, it is kind of proof right here in the pudding that $72.49 is a heck of a lot cheaper than $83.23.15, and you still got taxes on both. Okay. Now, of course, we can also add in the Apple Care extended warranty, and we're still nowhere near $83.23. Okay, and we can also renew that a lot too. Let's see, what do we get for warranty with this? Manufactured about a year. Oh, and if you want more and on site, you're gonna have to go Geeky Squad. Okay, so there you go. Anyways, 1 year manufacturer warranty from Microelectronics 2, professionally upgraded by Microelectronics 2. Who the heck is that? But anyway, 4-cell 90 watt hour. I don't remember what we get for a battery in these things. They're usually pretty darn good because we can go like all freaking day on the battery in this thing. The PC, no, not going to happen. Now, you'll also recall that if you watch enough YouTube videos, you're also going to realize that every time a Mac is tested up against a PC, sometimes the PC could be slightly faster than the Mac, but speed is not quality output product by any means, okay? Now, I'll also give it to the PC world that PCs can definitely outgame the Apple Silicon Macs, only for now. That is changing rapidly, okay? and it's going to be an equal playing field, if not very much accelerated beyond on the Mac, and PCs will get left in the dust soon enough. Remember, we are getting M3s out, and M4s are next. And the M3s, from what I hear, may just be the ticket to some really good gaming. So M4s can only make it that much better. Let's just hope that the hype is worth the hype. You know what I mean? Now, you also got to look at what you get for your money too. You get a computer from the PC world here that has Windows and a lot of bloatware. From Apple, not really much in the way of bloatware. And yeah, both I'm sure are very fast machines on boot up. Both of them I'm sure can do a lot of things very much the same, very well. But the problem is, on the PC, you're not going to be doing anything more than 1080p editing for video because, well, you're stuck with a 1080p screen. You will have no choice but to go to 4K external to get 4K video editing accomplished properly, where you already have the 4K XDR ProMotion display already built into the Mac. Big differences here, isn't there? And if you wanted this laptop with a 4K display, pony up, baby. It's going to cost you a ton load more money before you could even think of 4K on this particular laptop, even from Acer, if they even do one. I did see one 4K laptop from Dell, and it was about $4,500 or $4,800 Canadian. I nearly died. I'm like, are you kidding me? I can spend way less money and get a Mac laptop with 4K already in it. You know, like, seriously, what is happening in this world? Mind you, I've also seen lesser laptops than this, as far as price goes, that do happen to have a little bit of extra video, maybe not so big of a drive, but they did come with a 2K display, so at least you'll be able to do 2K video editing properly, okay? So, yeah, I'm kind of thinking Macs are a lot cheaper than PCs now. And with only the one little oversight of Mac is just they're not up to snuff on all the latest AAA games. But like I said, they're getting there rapidly. And there's been a lot of good news coming down, a lot of good results we've seen on a lot of games being ported to Mac. There's also the, if you're in the developers, call it the guild or whatever, you will be able to download the Apple Game Porting Toolkit and convert your PC games to Mac and see how you can tweak them to get them to run awesomely and put them into Mac mode. So there's a lot of benefits there. I myself even use Paul Littall's Porting Toolkit to take a lot of PC games and wrap them to be able to run on the Mac with just click, and I don't even have to run an installer. It's just all done for me in the wrap. So I just need the program itself and the files to zip, and away we go. Not all games turn out great. Far Cry still sucks donk. However, Skyrim is awesome, and yet it's actually more demanding than Far Cry, and it runs beautiful at Ultra. Okay, so yeah, I'm running an M1 Mac Mini, so I wonder. Anyhow, I thought I'd go over a little bit of this because I really wanted to kind of stick it to the PC world a little bit. And I kind of have to because I do own a PC laptop that's a gamer system. It is also stuck at 1080p, 144 hertz. If I want a better gaming experience or better whatever experience, I have to go to an external monitor, and I don't dare try running on the battery because my processor goes from whatever I have it set for speed, which mine maxes out at 4.5 gigahertz. I get sucked right down to 1 gigahertz. On any of the Mac ARM systems, as soon as you unplug the power, no effect. It's the same. It doesn't change. Has the same amount of horsepower on battery and on power supply. No difference. Every single PC in the market I have seen so far and come across myself personally and by watching videos, they all go to the as soon as you take the power cable off. Gaming laptops are supposed to be about portability and running off battery. You can't really do that if your computer gets sucked back to 1 gigahertz. You know what I mean? It kind of really screws over your gaming. Not to mention you probably won't be able to run your built-in graphics card. You'll have to run the secondary Intel graphics, or you pay the price of, well, you might only get 2 hours of runtime out of your battery if you're lucky. Okay, Mac, I can go plugged in, unplugged, go all day long, play games. And there are a bulk handload of games for Mac. Don't get it wrong, okay? There are a boatload, right? And there's more and more AAA games coming. So, but I wanted to do this to kind of like prove a point. Take the best laptop I could find in the PC world without going any further on upgrades because we can't anyways until you get it home and then you rip it apart. To custom ordering yourself a Macintosh system with even the same specs, but we can even go to 96 gigs and we are still like 82.49 versus 83.23. We are still cheaper on the Mac. And 96 gigs of RAM is a heck of a lot more usable than 32 because even Windows sucks donk at 32 gigs. I went to 64 gigs and I'm fine on my Windows computer now, and my games run so much better, even between 32 and 64. Because Windows 11 chews up near 10 gigs of RAM. You know, it's getting to be quite the hog, you know. In fact, I'll boot up my Asus thing here right now. I just got to switch my mouse over here. And currently, we are looking at... Come on, fire up, baby. Yep, 9.3 gigs worth of RAM is being sucked out of my life right now from Windows 11, just at the desktop. And let's see, what are we getting suckered for? Well, actually, we can't quit these browsers because, well, actually, no, I think we can. We can actually quit Chrome, and it should bring us right into our activity monitor. So let's fire up our activity monitor. And right now, I'm actually only using 9.4 gigs, or 9.1 gigs, 9 gigs, basically, with Chrome open. I don't even have anything open on my PC, and it's chewing up over 9.2 gigs, okay? So let's quit Chrome, and voila. Let that settle for a second. It's not quite 8 gigs of RAM, but I mean, some of that is extra cache filing, and RAM doesn't get everything released right away anyway, so it'll take a bit. But generally, this is where we're kind of really sitting at. We do have macOS 14.1, and I've not done a RAM check yet on it to see what it uses just to get to the desktop before launching software. But just by releasing Chrome even, I mean, that gave us a couple of gigs back. So we're still using far less RAM either way. But yeah, kind of interesting, isn't it? When you think about it. So the next time somebody says, PCs are cheaper than Macs are, tell them to go check out my video. Because the proof is right on screen. It ain't getting any more black and white than this, baby. Alright, so let's take a quick little boot anyways at Best Buy. And see, I wanted gaming laptops that had Thunderbolt because the Mac has Thunderbolt. And not all laptops on Windows have Thunderbolt either. So, let's take a look at what we got. I probably should have spelt with a little bit better. Ah, come on. Smarten up, Kevy. Okay. So these are supposed to have Thunderbolt, maybe. You never get a proper search, okay? But what do we get from Asus? The Rogue Zephyrus M16. Now, this thing's $4,700, which, okay, it's only got 16 gigs of RAM. Well, let's take our, and that's, what, a 16-inch, so yeah. So let's take that back to 32 gigs. And let's look at, what size of drive did they give us? Oh, they only give us 16 gigs. Yeah, so I can't even drop the Mac below 32. At least not this one anyway. 8 gig of onboard, SO-DIMM, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth. See, this is still 19... Oh, this is worse. Oh, no, maybe better. 1080p, whatever. 1920 by 1200. 164, high PS. 240 watts still. To the Apple's 140 watt. Power horse, power suckers, 90 watt hour battery. What I'm looking for here is 2.3 gigahertz, 12th gen, Intel Core. Let's go down in the further specs here and see what we got. I need to know what the drive size is so we can make it fair. 4 terabytes. All right, let's go to 4 terabytes. That'll knock a pile of money off. Okay, 32 by 4. And we still have 14 cores, 6 performance. You know, so we technically have a few more cores in this thing, or the Mac, but not by much. I mean, this is still 12-core CPU to 14, 2 cores, but it makes no difference. The base clock of this is 2.3. The base clock of the M2, I think it was something like about 3.4 or something. You know, so it's actually faster, and there's less efficiency cores in the Mac. The rest of them are performance. We actually have more performance cores in the Mac than we will in the PC, so that does make a difference too. But in comparison, we're at 5749 to 4715. So we're kind of a little bit more on the Mac, but that's only because we don't have a choice on the memory. If we could drop this memory down, we'd probably be cheaper. Okay, but we just can't drop the memory down. We did drop the storage to make that equal, you know. So this is kind of like, this is an iffy. But this still isn't even giving us a 2K display yet. I mean, this is just stupidness, right? And we do have Thunderbolt 4, which is what we were after. We wanted Thunderbolt 4. Let's see if we got anything else. Something around the, well, here's something for about $5,000. The well, actually, no, that's not $5,000, that's more. Clicked on the wrong one. Come on. $5,000. Asus ROG. 4 terabyte. So yeah, this is $5,000. That's closer to our Mac. Let's see if we can get any closer. $5,100. $53. $57.49 to $57.88. I'll be nice and call this a fair trade. Okay? Let's just make believe for a couple of dollars, literally. Okay, like $38 more for the PC. But we're still stuck in that same processor, same efficiency cores to performance cores, same RAM. Oh, wait a minute. 40 gigs of RAM? Ooh, that's not bad. Yeah, that's 32 to 40. That's not much of a sneeze. That's only 8 gigs. But either way, it's pretty close in price range. You know, I mean, this is still a little bit more expensive than the Mac. But, you know, we only get to go 32 to 64. We can't go to 40. But if we went to 64, what would that give us? 62.49. So that puts us well over. So what if we knocked it down to 2 terabytes? That still makes the Mac cheaper, even at 2 terabyte. And this has got a 4, so we got to keep that the same. We're gonna have to sacrifice on the RAM here, but either way, you see that the majority here, and we still have a Thunderbolt 4, which is great. The Mac has a 1080p webcam. This is 720p in the PC, which is disgusting. Not to mention the fact that the power supply is 240 watt, to the Apple having far less, like 100 watts less power. And you have the same innate problem, and that is simply that PCs, when you unplug the power from the laptop, they go for performance. There ain't no climbing back up the tree unless you plug it back in. The Mac runs exactly the same, plugged in or unplugged, right? And our screen still sucks. We still don't even have anywhere near 4K. You can't do 4K editing on this stuff unless you have a 4K display. So, do they have anything with a 4K display? That would be a good question. What do we got? Anything? Well, you're not going to get nothing with a 4K display for $900. Gigabyte. What's Gigabyte offer us? 15-inch, 16 gig of RAM. That's wussy. I can barely run Windows. 720p webcam. All these PCs have 720p, but at least we finally got a 2K display. That's at least an improvement. But we lost a lot on the RAM to get that display. And look at the price, $4,600. Like let's base model this almost, like 16 gig. What's it got for SSD in this thing? 1 terabyte. There we go. Let's make it fair. 1 terabyte. We can't drop below 32 though. But $4,500 for the Mac. $4,678. Mac 4K XDR ProMotion. Among other things, it has for benefits. And way less efficiency cores on the Mac too. And 100 watts less in drain on power requirements too. So, and even the graphics, I mean, graphics are graphics. I mean, it's not a big deal there. The Mac shares RAM with graphics, you know, and the more RAM you have, the better anyways when you're dealing with a shared graphics system. But it's all integrated to one chip, so it is actually pretty good. I gotta admit, Apple did a great job with their ARM chips. And they are getting better for gaming. But this, at least, you'd be able to do some half-decent photo editing. And you could at least do video editing at least up to 2K. Where the Mac, you can still do 4K. Right off the hop. So, again, who's cheaper? Apple or the PC world? Who has better hardware packed inside for less money? Apple. Interesting. I rest my case. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you on the next one.